Counter-Narrative News, bringing you a brief commentary on Brenton Tarrant, who was 28 years old on March the 15th, 2019, when he conducted a white supremacist mass shooting attack against two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, leading to the deaths of 51 people, innocent people, and 40 were injured. He was from New South Wales in Australia. The actual attack was conducted in New Zealand. Now, there's one particular interesting thing to mention here. Brenton Tarrant visited a lot of countries across the world, including the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, most commonly called North Korea. In his manifesto called the Great Replacement Theory, which is the same name as a well-known central theory in Nazism, he claims that China is the political state of any in the world that's closest to his political views. And this has been largely ignored by all commentators and analysts. Of course, it's been ignored by the pro-Beijing camp because of its deep and profound awkwardness. And it's been just generally ignored. It's been picked up by some in critiquing his anti-Muslim white supremacist views. And it's interesting because he considers that China is dealing with racialized minorities in the way that fits his white supremacist Nazi world view and political allegiances. And the other interesting thing about Brenton Tarrant's manifesto, it's very much a quote-unquote red-brown manifesto, i.e. which seems to kind of bind together radical left and radical right, but when you put it together, it always comes out as radical far right. Always and all the time. The left cannot outcompete the right with right-wing ideas. The right and the far right always win that dynamic and that game. And so you see in Brenton Tarrant's manifesto things about ecology and environmentalism and workers' rights. And whereas some of the Russian and Beijing campists claim that his symbol and the symbol on his manifesto and the content of his manifesto is close to the far right in Ukraine, that's not true at all. Although it has to be stated that Putin and Alexander Dugin were with the far right, the Banderists and the Azov battalion type of political factions. They were allied directly with them in Ukraine before they fell out with them post 2014. And Brenton Tarrant, his manifesto perfectly reflects this red-brown Duginism type of collaborationist politics. And this is probably also because of the way China puts out its political framework in dealing with its destabilization and the separatist movement in Xinjiang of the Uyghurs, or what the separatists call the East Turkestan independence movement. Which is very much backed by the Turkish state and Erdogan. But so the global perception on China is that China adopts a very anti-Muslim, racist, white supremacist framework upon Xinjiang, which is very similar to the Western racist war on terror and Islamophobia. And that's how it's perceived. China does not come out with a counter kind of framework to correct that in terms of people's perception. So it is actually what it is. The framework as it's applied is what is applied in reality to people there in a racist way. And this is a deep, deep problem for China, because if China wants support and solidarity for it, which it does deserve in the context of a growing neo-colonial warpath and militaristic containment on China, then China can't ask for support, and it doesn't get support from Muslims because of people like Brenton Tarrant allying with China and claiming it's his most famous political state on the planet. And when the George Floyd uprising happened in the summer of 2020 in the United States and across black communities across the world, China did not even posture or attempt to try and gain support from black communities. So it's lost the Hearts and Minds campaign around the global Muslim communities because of this. It's lost the Hearts and Minds campaign for black communities because it fails to actually reach out to them like it did under Mao Zedong when he allied with Robert F. Williams, when Robert F. Williams was a radical black revolutionary, one of the main figures actually of black power radical socialism from the United States, teams up with Mao Zedong, influences Mao to make his statement in support of black struggle in the United States. So China is isolating itself, and because the Beijing leadership is embedded with global finance capital, controlled and dominated by the City of London and Wall Street, it can't break out of that political culture it's built up, which is right embedded with the rich finance capitalist white man. That's where it is. And to shift out of that, there needs to be, pardon the pun, but a political cultural revolution in China and with the leadership to shift this. But that's not likely on the horizon as we go forward. Many thanks.